And then come back with some 320 paper and lightly sand it all over with 320 paper. Blow the dust off of it. And I sprayed on 2 coats of M.L. Campbell sanding sealer, thin 20% or so on the first coat, and then a full coat the second time. And the second time, let it dry and sand it lightly. And then I sprayed on 3 coats of M.L. Campbell dull lacquer. And didn't do another thing to it. The dull lacquer. And it, I'm not gonna brag, it does look good. And it's got feet, bracket feet. There's a butler's drawer. Looks like a drawer, but it's actually a desk. Got some little brass things that pop out there. You pull the drawer out, and it's got quadrants. See the brass up in the corners up there?
Yep.
It's a brass quadrant. Those things are still available from Ball and Ball. They've been making them since the 1700s, and it's what you make it. And if you want to know how to make a butler's drawer, look online. Rob Millard will show you how to make one. That's where I learned to make it, step by step online. There it is with the butler's drawer open.
Waterlock's $31.50. Last time I bought.
And Waterlocks are, you want to use Waterlocks original. Don't use that new stuff they make. Waterlocks original.
What's the difference?
The new stuff's got polyethylene, you know, I don't like any polyester stuff. It's got
Urethane.
polyurethane. The old original does not. And this is the interior of the desk. It's got hidden drawers. There's some hidden drawers in there. Little pockets for mail to go in, and the central section locks. What that would have been was in a fine home in Charleston. This piece would have sit in the front hall. You came in the front door, it would be right there. And when the mail came, they'd sit it in there, sort it, and close it back up so anybody that came in wouldn't know that there was a desk in there. They'd think it was just a chest of drawers. Butlers used them sometimes. That's the reason they call them butler's drawers. But that is a big piece of furniture. And also at the top there, it had a stylized pineapple and a acanthus leaf carving up on the center, and then rosettes on either side. That's the first one of those rosettes I ever colored. And there's the details. See how they have this chest has a mitered corner, and so that pattern has to be made so that the miter, this fits in the miter corner.
Wow.
And then it's got fluted columns up the side there. It's got a lot of stuff in it. It's just called a lamb's tongue. That's an applied piece. This is a flutes. This is concave, and these are convex. You know where they match. That's typical of English furniture. Because Elf was an English cabinet maker. See it on a lot of Mercury. There's a Powermatic planer I bought. There's another I bought. I had a Powermatic planer with a sharpener, and I sold it because it had a solid infeed roller. You know, the roller that feeds the wood in. Look at that, that's a solid bar. You don't want that. You want a one that's got segmented infeed roller. And the reason is, if you feed a board that's got a little cup or a warp in it, that bar will hit on the high spot and stop. If you got a segmented one, it holds it all. And it basically is a 18-inch joiner, because the roller, the infeed roller, will deform to the shape of the wood you're putting in there. And when you buy a planer, you pay extra money for a segmented infeed roller. Mostly they were used in industrial facilities, because if we were in a furniture factory and we had a bunch of boards that came in, we wanted them all 7/8. Some of them were 15/16, some of them were 13/16. Feed them through there, as long as they're side by side, they feed them both. You know, you can get an 1/8 of an inch difference in the boards you can feed through, and they plane all the same thing.
So I mean, you didn't have to run them through a joiner before you.
Right, you don't have to do that. If you're very careful. I've got a big 18-inch or 16-inch wide board, it's got a little cup in it. Take a light cut, run it through there, and it'll knock those corners off where it curved up. flip it over, run it through lightly, it'll take the crown off.
Otherwise,
Flip
you
it.
press it
Otherwise,
down.
it'll press it down.
Then in a thick
Yep,
piece.
and the segment end feeder roller won't do that. So be very careful, flip it back and forth, run it through there, flatten it right out.
Right.
I learned that from a cabinet maker. I bought this one out of a barn and rebuilt it all, took it completely apart. Put a Sheelix head in it. I did not make that, I don't know who made that. It's nice. Oh, this is Craig Font, one of the oldest stone home in Tennessee. And it was built right outside of Nashville, between Nashville and Gallatin. And it was built there in the early 1800s, about 1803, I think. And that was back in the days, they're still living in log cabins. You know, in Tennessee, there weren't many stone homes. This was a stone home. It was a Revolutionary War grant of territory to people who had served in the Revolution. A guy named Everett from Baltimore, Maryland, was given this plot of land, and he moved to Tennessee with his family from Baltimore. And he had been in the shipping business, and he brought his shipwrights with him, and he brought masons from Philadelphia, or from Baltimore rather, who cut stone. This is all cut limestone off the property, and the roof. I think I got a picture of that. The roof is timber framed, like the bottom of a ship, and you can still see the marks on it. See if I got a picture of that somewhere here.
Lap joint?
It's like a timber frame. No, shoot, I don't think I got one of it. But if you go up in the attic of that place, you can look up. No, I don't have it. You can go up in the attic and look up, and it's just like looking up into the bottom of a ship. The rafters curve up. There's a center keel down through there. They're all mortised antennas, still got the numbers on them where they match, got pins in them on them. Looked like they did it yesterday. And that building had stood a long time.
It's an upside down ship.
Yeah, the upside down ship, exactly. And for many years, it was used as a barn. They kept animals in it until some historical society bought it and had it all redone.